Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Ross. Happy Tuesday. We're continuing our review with topic 2, and we're adding larger numbers today. So we're skipping ahead a little bit to 2-4. I think this is something we all know how to do, but sometimes we make errors in our computation, in our adding, and sometimes we just make some errors when we line up our numbers, and that sort of makes some mistakes. So I think it's good for us to go back and review and just make sure we feel a little bit more confident about this skill. All right, so as we're adding greater numbers today, think about which strategy you feel most comfortable using. This year, we introduced you that idea of partial sums, or if you want to continue using the standard algorithm, you may as well. As you're doing this, though, remember how place value sort of helps you when you're adding larger numbers. So let's take a look. So let's review adding. We're going to review the partial sums, which was new for some of us this year. So that's over here. So if I have 358 plus 277, I'm going to think about the digits in the ones place, the 8 and 7. So I'm going to add those. 8 plus 7 gives me 15. Okay? Then I'm going to think about the value of the 5 and the 7 in the tens place. This 5 represents 50, and this 7 represents 70. So 50 plus 70 gives you 120. So you're adding by place value. And then here, this digit 3 in the hundreds place represents 300. And this 2 represents 200. So 300 plus 200 gives you 500. Then you would add all of these up. So 15 plus 120 plus 500 gives you 635. Okay, so that's the partial sums. And I think that was new to several of us this year. The other way is the standard algorithm, which you've been taught. So again, notice how I'm always trying my best to line up the digits. So 8 plus 7 is 15. I know 15 is 5 ones and 1 10, so I carry the 1 to the tens place. All right. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 plus 7 is 13, so I put my 3 and I carry my 1 to the hundreds place. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. So I get 635. So again, either way, you're going to get the same sum. I prefer the standard. I think there's less room for error. I think here is interesting to explore the concept, but I think sometimes when students have to add a lot of numbers in a column, they tend to make errors. But whichever strategy works best for you is what you should use. So if we were going to think about adding in terms of using something called a bar diagram, which we've used a lot this year, and a variable to represent it. Sometimes using diagrams are helpful for people to sort of visually see the concept. So we have this bar, right? And the entire bar represents the whole. And in this equation, we don't know what the entirety or the whole or the sum of the equation is, right? So it's represented with the variable, and here we're using S. Remember, usually variables are any letter. Try to stay away from letters like O because it looks like a 0, right? So here it's S. So the bar diagram is telling you if I have this part being 24,595, and this part is 19,255, and I put the two parts together, I'm adding them, I will get the whole entirety of the bar, right? So if I add them together, I would get 43,850. So I'm just going to model the standard algorithm just to check. So 5 plus 5 is 10. Oh, purple on purple is not a good idea. Ooh, let's try yellow. Okay. 5 plus 5 is 10. I'm going to carry a 1. I always add whatever I carried first so I don't forget it. So 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 plus 5 is 15. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. My comma. I always add that in too so I don't forget. 4 plus 9 is 13. So I put my 3. I carry my 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay? So 43,850. So they're going to ask you to think about if something is reasonable today, and we have talked a lot about that throughout the year. Reasonable is just sort of you mentally checking. Today, you are not required to do the estimation in any of the problems, I don't believe, but they are going to ask you to sort of mentally think, or if you want to do the estimation on your scrap paper, just to double check. And the idea is my answer reasonable, right? If I did 100 plus 200 and my answer was, 30,000, I know that isn't reasonable. That doesn't even make sense. So it's sort of just like, does it pass that does it make sense question? So usually you would do some sort of estimating to check if something is reasonable. So here we have the question 24,595 plus 19,255, and I did my work and I got 43,850. And I just want to check it. Does that seem reasonable? So in this example, I rounded it to the thousands place, because remember, the closer you round to the actual answer, the closer it's going to be to the actual sum, right? So here, 24,000 rounded to 25,000, 19,000 rounded, 19,255 rounded to 19,000. And when I added them, I got 44,000. And that's fairly close to my actual answer. So my answer is reasonable. Some of you may have thought to round to the 10,000s place, which is fine. 24,500 would round to 20,000. 19,255 would round to 20,000. And when you add those up, you get 40,000, which again is fairly close to our actual answer. So our actual answer is reasonable. Okay. Some of you might be able to start thinking about doing this mentally. It sort of depends on sort of your confidence level with it. Okay, and lastly for today, they're going to give you some big numbers in sets of 3s and 4s to add. And it's not like this is a difficult addition. It's more sort of people have a difficult time lining up the numbers or make just computational errors. So I just want to show you two strategies. The first strategy would just be to line up the 3 or 4 numbers and just add. And another strategy would be to add the first 2 numbers, find that sum, and then add the third number to that sum. Okay, I know a lot of you use this strategy, but let's just go through and see. So 5 and 5 is 10. 10 and 9 is 19. I'm going to carry up my 1. Again, I always add my carried digit first so I don't forget it. So 9 and 1 is 10. 10 and 6 is 16. 16 and 4 is 20. Ooh, that's not a pretty 2. That's better. 2 and 7 is 9. 9 and 2 is 11. I also put my comma so I don't forget. 3 and 1 is 4. 4 and 3 is 7. 7 and 3 is 10. 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and 2 is 4. 4 and 8 is 12. And then 1 and 1 is 2. Okay, so that would be if I was adding all 3 of the digits together. Notice I lined them up. I think that's where a lot of errors take place. The other strategy would be to add the first 2 together, find the sum, and then add the second to add the third to that sum. Sorry. So here I added the first 2 together, and I got 136,860. So then I took that, and now I'm going to add the third number to it. So 0 and 9 is 9. 6 and 4 is 10. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. My comma. 6 and 1 is 7. 7 and 3 is 10. 3 and 1 is 4. 4 and 8 is 12. And 1 and 1 is 2. So again, you see we got the same answer for both of them, 220,109. They're just 2 different strategies. Okay, so today, boys and girls, you are just practicing adding larger numbers. All right, I hope you have a happy. I'll see you tomorrow for Wednesday. We are subtracting. Have a good day.